Okay, so this is a continuation from our lesson yesterday, lesson 2, which has to do with variables and values. And we were taking a look at the Home Thermostat app and how it uses variables to store information. And so we're going to go ahead and continue looking at level 4. So level 4 adds a little bit of different features to our thermostat app. As you can see, instead of just displaying Fahrenheit, it also displays the degrees in Celsius here. So we're going to take a look at this together. We're going to take a look at the code and find this new command that's being used, which is math.round. And we're going to talk about how it actually works. Okay, so here's our new version of the Home Thermostat app. And we want to create some watchers for temp F, temp C, temp display F, and temp display C. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to add temp F, and I'm going to add temp C, and I'm going to add temp display F, and I'm going to add temp display C. Okay, right now they're all undefined because I haven't started running the application yet. So as soon as I run this, we should see that as this runs, so it's running in debugging mode, so it's going very slowly, we can see that all of these variables are getting values. So temp F is 70, temp C is being calculated as 21, and then the string version, so temp display F is 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and temp display C is 21 degrees Celsius, which you can see actually displayed on the screen here. What we want to do is we want to think about how math.round works. So let's take a look at where it's actually being used. So take a look at line number 3. So what do you think math.round is doing here? What do you think it's doing? You can put that in the chat. And if you just joined us on Pear Deck, here's the link. Yeah, so this whole line number 3, is converting our current degrees in Fahrenheit to degrees in Celsius. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Yes. But what is math.round doing? Let's investigate. Let's delete. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Let's delete the math.round on the line 3 here, for example. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and delete math.round on line 3, and then there's another instance on line 15. So I'm going to delete that there. And then there's another instance on line 28 here, so I'm going to delete that on line 28. Okay, so now I've deleted all the math.round blocks, and so I'm going to go ahead and run this again. Make this run faster. What's the difference? What do you notice? So I just deleted math.round. Now, what do you see on the application? Did anything change? Yeah, it's exact, right? Too many ones. It's not rounded, right? So when we're converting from Fahrenheit to Celsius, since we're dividing, there's a division operator in there, there is a chance that you can get a repeating decimal. And when that happens, it goes like off the screen and you can't see the unit of Celsius anymore. So that's why they were using math.round. So the round function belongs to this class of different things you can use called math, right? That makes sense. When you round in math class, so why not put it in a library called math? So anytime you want to round a number to its nearest whole number, you're going to use math.round. Okay, so let's go ahead and put those math.round functions back in there. Let me just actually restore it. And so when I restore that, you can see that we always get whole numbers for the degrees in Celsius. So I can use the application, and no matter what degrees I have in Fahrenheit, it's always going to calculate the nearest degrees in whole numbers for Celsius. Okay. Let's see. It also says to delete the space in between the quotation marks and the letter F in line 4. How does this change what is displayed on the screen? So I'm going to go to line 4, and I'm going to delete the space right here. See right here, there's a space before the F. Oh, there we go. Let's see what happens. Well, you see that there's no space on the display, right? So it just says 70F with no space in between. Cool. All right, so let's go back to our Pear Deck. And I have a question for you to answer. How can we change the program that we just saw so that there's no space displayed? So I showed you how to remove the space for Fahrenheit, but my question is, which option here not only removes the space before the letter F, but also before the letter C? So you're going to answer either A, B, C, or D, depending on which option you think is correct. I'll give you a moment to answer that. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Show the responses. Most of you say answer option C. We've got a couple of guesses for A and C as well. Someone's changed their answer. Okay, so again, that question was, how can you change the program that we just looked at so that there's no space displayed between the temperature value and the unit, meaning F and C? So if we take a look at the answer options, let's look at C since that was the most popular. You'll notice that there's no space here before the F, and there's no space here before the C. So that's our correct answer. If we look at answer option A, we see a space before the F, which makes this answer incorrect, right? We want no space before the F and no space before the C. This one's correct, there's no space there, but this option makes it incorrect. In answer option B, we have a space before F and we have a space before C, so that's incorrect. And then in D, we don't have a space here before F, but there is a space before C, so that made it incorrect. Okay, so again, the correct answer here is C, because there is not a space before F or C. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, so we're moving on to level 5. And again, we're going to run the app and predict the information that's being stored in variables. Let's go ahead and open that up. Okay, so this version is a little different. It looks like kind of like the one that we looked at last week. It has an actual login screen. So let's go ahead and click run and observe what happens. Okay, so maybe I'll click log in. Oh, okay. So I was able to just log in and it says hi, but there's nothing here. There's like a comma, so that's telling me that maybe I could have entered my name there. So let me go back home, and I'll go ahead and put my first name, and I'm going to click login. And so now it says hi, comma, space, and then my name there. So what do you think is being stored? What new information do you think is being stored in variables in this version of the application? So go ahead and go back to the Pear Deck and write your prediction. What new information do you think is being stored by this version of the application? Okay, let's take a look at some of your answers here. So a lot of you recognize that some sort of text is being stored in this version of the application. Information being stored is the name of the login, and yeah, it's still keeping track of the temp. But the new information seems to be the name that you're putting in. So if we look at this application again, if I reset this, run it, I'm putting in text here. So whatever I put inside of this name field, like let's see, I can put in Amir's name, click on login, and now it says hi Amir. And then if I go back and I change this name, let's put in Christian's name. When I click login, it now says hi Christian. And so it's storing whatever name you put inside of that box. And then once you click the button, it displays it on the thermostat app screen. So that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide, which has to do with level 6. And I think this is our last level. So level 6 says read the code, and we're going to basically discuss what has changed and what has stayed the same. And we're going to talk about this new function called getText, and then we're going to modify some stuff. Okay, so let's open up level 6. And let's see, we're going to investigate this new version and we're going to see what changed. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this. I'm going to go ahead and put my name, and then I'm going to press log in. Okay, so I see still, once again, I see my name up here. And let's play around with the buttons, see what happens. Okay, cool. Let me actually make sure that I have this reset before I start playing with it too much. Okay, run that again. Okay, still says my name. Still can interact with the buttons as much as I like, right? I can make the temperature super hot still. And let's see if I can make it super cold also. Okay, So it looks like, it has that added functionality of adding my name up there like we saw. And there's a little person icon to indicate that that's who is actually logged in. And I can still make it super cold and super hot if I wanted to. Okay, so what it's asking us to do is we want to look at line 40. And we want to hover over the get text block in the toolbox to read its documentation. So let's look at line 40. So here is line 40. Let me put a box around it. Here it is right there. Okay, so what do you think is happening on line 40? Think about that for a little bit and then I'll tell you. Okay, so we want to know what the heck name input is. So I'm going to hover over here, and it turns out that name input is this text field right here. So get text is going to literally get the text that I put inside of this field. So anything I put in there, I can put cheeseburger in there or whatever. And it will get that text, cheeseburger, and it's going to go ahead and join that with hi, comma, space. And it's going to store that whole thing inside of this variable. So let me draw what that looks like. So we are creating this variable, my name. So I'm going to draw my little plastic baggie there. And I will label it my name. And then for the value, let me draw a really big sticky note because that's going to be a longer string. I'll just make a box inside of it. On my really big sticky note here, I am going to put the value, the string value hi, comma, a space, and then whatever text is in the name input field, which is right here, which happens to be cheeseburger right now. So I'm going to write in cheeseburger. There we go. Could barely fit it there. Okay. So that is storing that whole string inside of my name. And then when we jump down to line 41 here, it will set the text of username text to that's whatever that string has. Okay, so we can watch that happen again. So I'm going to click on login, and then it sets the text to this area right here as hi, comma, space cheeseburger, which is being stored in my name. All right. Cool. Now, it says using concatenation, add an exclamation point to the end of the string stored in my name. So I want to basically edit this line right here, and I want to put an exclamation mark after whatever the text inside of name input is. So what I'm going to have to do, I think the easiest way is actually to go to show text. Let me redraw that. So again, I'm looking at this line right here, okay? And I'm going to be modifying this line so that it says hi, whatever the name is, and then an exclamation mark at the very, very end. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a plus symbol, which means add on another part of the string. And then in quotes, I'm going to put my exclamation mark. Okay, that's all I have to do. So now let me go ahead and go back to block mode so you can see what that looks like. Let me redraw that box. Line 40. So right here. So that's that line of code that I modified. So now, next time I log in, I should see an exclamation mark get put at the end of my name right here. Okay, so let's run that. Reset. Okay, what name should I put in here this time? I'm gonna put Ohani's name. No, I'm gonna put Ohani's name since he was late. Let's see. Oh, I gotta run it. Okay, so Ohani, it's gonna yell at you. It's gonna put an exclamation mark after your name. Okay. No, it's not gonna yell at you. It's gonna be really excited that you're there. It's like, Ohani. Yeah, see, hi, comma, space, Ohani, and then it has an exclamation mark now. And that's because of what I've added right here at the end. Okay. Pretty cool that we can modify our greetings for our applications. So that's something that you can do for your next app project next semester. I don't think we'll have time for another project this semester. Okay, so let's finish up. We're almost done here. Okay. Actually, yeah. So this is basically like the wrap up right here. So we're pretty much done. So these are some really helpful patterns that you can use in your applications. So this first pattern is called the counter pattern. So basically what this does is every time you click on some item, some element on your screen, it keeps track of how many times that's being executed. So it's adding one every single time to this variable when you click, right? So just like when we were increasing the temperature. Wait, why did I put a response here? Oh, what happens to my var every time this event is triggered? Okay. So yeah, I see people. Yeah, Amir, go ahead. So yeah, you guys are right. So every time you click, right, my var is going to increase by 1. That's absolutely correct. And this is a really, really important um, pattern. If you remember back to that evolution application where we had the pet rock, it kept track of how many times we clicked. And so it was using a pattern much like this one. And then same thing for the thermostat app. Every time we clicked the up button, it was adding 1, not to like a click count, but to the temperature. And then we had another one that was doing the opposite. It was subtracting 1. So the down button was subtracting 1 from the temperature. So this is a pattern that you'll see come up very often, and you'll probably want to use this pattern in a future project. The other one that I wanted to show you before we leave is the string pattern. So variable with string concatenation. So what do you think, looking at this code, what would happen to my story every time, let's pretend that this code was inside of an event handler, every time that event is triggered, what's going to happen to the variable my story? So my string is rock, and my other string is roll. Yeah, so a lot of you are putting in it's going to become rock and roll, right? It's going to concatenate or join those strings together to create rock and roll. Yep, absolutely correct. All right, so wrap up. So instead of having you do that, um, we have a check for understanding question that I have put on Google Classroom. Let me just show you where that is. So our check for understanding question for Unit 4, Lesson 2 is what you have to do for homework today. It should just take you a second. It's a quick multiple choice question. I'll go ahead and put that link in the chat. Copy link address. All right, that's the last thing you got to do for today, and then you're done. And let me stop recording.